The soot-tinged dawn over El Paso carried the reek of dust and burned plastic, a smell no one mistook anymore for morning coffee. A decade earlier, the desert city had dreamed of high-speed Teslas streaking across a new cross-border hyperloop that Elon Musk promised would weld the hemisphere together. Then January 25 happened. Donald Trump strode back into the White House, cracked the whip of tariffs on every foreign good, and by April, commandeered the Federal Reserve the way a sheriff might seize a runaway stagecoach. Jerome Powell vanished from the headlines, the dollar's green ink faded to yellow, and salaries dissolved faster than salt in monsoon rain. By the time Trump canceled the 2028 elections until the emergency passed, El Paso was a scar bisecting two worlds. Hungry Americans penned inside, wary Mexican and Canadian soldiers manning checkpoints outside, the stars and stripes glaring down beside foreign banners on every road out of town. Daniel Grant still wore the frayed tweed jacket that had once made his high school students think history class might be fun. The jacket's elbow patches were now blackened from night runs, its pockets crammed with tiny ledgers, smuggling codes, and a battered PayPal card long since useless for anything but scraping frost off dusty windshields. 2 years ago, he'd stood in front of chalkboards arguing that past empires collapsed under the weight of hubris. Now he hiked contraband grain sacks through forgotten culverts, memorizing patrol schedules, and swapping Cadillac floor mats for tortillas because every crumb mattered. When the kids in ragged lines along Stanton Street whispered, "Professor," Daniel cringed. He had stopped being a teacher the night the cafeteria ran out of bread and students started fainting in front of him. He almost missed the familiar whistle slicing through the hush of a curfewed boulevard. Sofia Delgado, once his star student, now a reporter with more press passes than safe places to sleep, leaned from the charred doorway of what had been a cafe. Her camera rig, patched with copper tape and prayers, glinted like a second pair of eyes in the pale light. "Border Patrol just tightened the Isleta crossing," she said, voice low but urgent. "Rumor is they found 40 pounds of black market cornmeal. Soldiers are jumpy. 2 shots fired already." Daniel cursed under his breath. "That was tonight's route." Sophia flashed a crooked smile. "We'll find another. I need you alive, Professor. People still listen when you talk." "Not sure that's wise," he muttered. "Words put me here." She shrugged. "Words will get us out, or at least expose the cartel." Up close, Sophia looked older than her 27 years. A spray of new scars climbed her jaw, reminders that truth cost flesh these days. Under her flak vest, she hid a tiny transmitter tuned to pirate frequencies. For months, she had traced whispers that the shortages weren't just tariff fallout but engineered scarcity. A shadow alliance of energy barons profiting from chaos, rerouting diesel and solar arrays alike to private compounds while cities dimmed. 2 nights ago, she caught a name. The Twin Flag Consortium, a cabal whose emblem, stars spliced with an oil derrick, had surfaced on invoices buried beneath border checkpoint manifests. If her hunch was right, Daniel's smuggling network was unknowingly feeding the same machine that strangled their neighborhood. They ducked into an alley where murals of pre-collapse El Paso, mariachi bands, UTEP miners in victorious orange, Tesla Model Y taxis humming, peeled in ragged curls from adobe walls. Daniel pushed aside a dumpster to reveal a drain wide enough for a man to crawl through. "This leads to the storm tunnels," he said. "It's tight, but it bypasses Isleta." Sophia flicked on a headlamp. "After you, contrabandero." Inside, the tunnel air tasted of copper and mildew. Water dripped like a metronome marking time until the next ration riot. They crawled on bruised knees, Daniel dragging a duffel of canned beans, Sophia cradling her camera as if it were a child. Ahead, faint light oozed from a maintenance grate. The tunnels end beneath a derelict parking garage once reserved for bright white Cadillacs. The irony stabbed Daniel. Symbols of American luxury, now sheltering black market lifelines. Voices drifted down, accented Spanish mingling with rough Canadian French. Daniel froze. "Military patrol?" Sophia shook her head. "Listen, too relaxed. Maybe off-duty soldiers swapping goods." He risked a peek, for figures stood among rusting convertibles. 2 wore mismatched fatigues without insignia. The others sported expensive desert boots civilians couldn't buy even before the collapse. At their feet, Pallets of solar batteries, crates stamped with the twin flag emblem. One booted man held a sat phone, murmuring in English about Phase 2 shipments clearing Santa Teresa by dawn. A chill threaded Daniel's spine. This was proof. The consortium existed and foreign troops, ostensibly peacekeepers, were in on it. Sophia steadied her camera. A soft click echoed like a gunshot in the cavernous garage. The talking stopped. "Did you hear that?" A voice barked. Daniel grabbed Sophia's arm. "Run!" They scrambled back, water splashing, duffel bumping walls. Behind them, a flashlight beam sliced the dark. Bullets ricocheted off concrete, showering sparks. Daniel's mind raced through tunnel maps etched in memory. Left fork, ladder, manhole under the abandoned rail spur. Daylight and chaos, but better than a bullet. They burst onto cracked asphalt beneath a sky hemorrhaging pink. Sirens wailed nearer to the river. Someone must have tripped sensors. Daniel dragged Sophia behind a toppled freeway sign. "You hit?" he asked. She panted, checking her camera. Lens cracked, but footage should be intact. Her eyes burned with triumph. "We have them." Daniel wanted to cheer, but thunder rattled distant air, military rotor blades. An unmarked drone swooped low, spraying tear gas that seared lungs. "This is new," Sophia coughed. "They're escalating." Daniel surveyed rooftops shimmering in heat waves. "Your story goes live tonight. Can you broadcast?" "Shortwave still works, but to take them down we need more. Supply routes, bank trails, names." He opened the duffel. Beans rattled. A smaller pouch inside contained ledgers of every bribe, every rendezvous. "I thought these were for trust. Looks like they're for leverage." Sophia's grin returned. "Always knew you were a historian at heart. Let's rewrite the ending." They navigated backstreets toward a safe house inside a hollowed-out Dollar Tree. Neon letters "Aller R.E." buzzed weakly overhead. Inside, volunteers sorted medicines beside faded posters of pre-collapse heroes. Harriet Tubman, Martin Luther King Jr., and, incongruously, an early campaign photo of Elon Musk smiling beside a roadster. Yet Musk's name was spoken here with equal parts hope and contempt. His former energy empire fractured, factories seized by rival CEOs who printed new logos over Teslas, but rumors claimed Musk himself funded fugitives on the sly. Daniel's arrival sparked murmurs. Kids in patchwork hoodies eyed the cans like treasure. He knelt, handing them over. At least tonight, some would eat. In the back office, a battered laptop flickered alive on scavenged solar. Sophia plugged her camera, fingers dancing across keys. Grainy footage filled the screen. The twin flag crates, the covert soldiers, the phrase Phase 2 crisp as a courtroom testimony. "We stream to every pirate channel," she said, "but they'll jam us fast." "Not if we upload from 3 sites at once," Daniel replied. "I know smugglers with Starlink dishes, old Tesla warehouses. Musk Tech still talks to the sky." He charted a triangle across the city map. Warehouse 17 near the river, the abandoned PayPal call center upstream, and a ruined Cadillac dealership downtown. Each held gear he'd hidden on prior runs. If they synced broadcasts, the signal scatter would outpace most jammers. A volunteer, teenage girl with braided hair, tapped the map. 17 is under curfew lockdown. Guards shoot on sight. Daniel exhaled. "Then we lure them elsewhere." He pointed to the freeway cloverleaf where refugees bartered. "Start a false convoy rumor. Make them think a grain truck's breaking through. They'll redeploy, we slip by." Sophia's brow furrowed. "Dangerous. Everything's dangerous," he said. "But history doesn't wait." Night bled into orange haze as they prepped. Volunteers stitched ragged canvas into makeshift body armor. A former nurse brewed adrenaline cocktail from scavenged meds. Daniel felt the old classroom bravery return, the surge before a big lecture. Only now the test was survival. Just before they moved out, an elderly man shuffled in, clutching a radio. "Prof, listen." Static cleared, revealing Trump's familiar rasp broadcasting from confiscated FCC towers. "Ungrateful mobs. Extraordinary measures. Enemies of prosperity will be purged." Daniel's stomach knotted. Every speech turned more apocalyptic. Trump's cabinet of loyalists, bankers, Oil magnates, private militias, fed slogans like coal into a furnace. Sophia clicked off the radio. More reason to hurry. They split teams. Daniel and 2 runners toward Warehouse 17, Sophia toward PayPal Center. A duo on dirt bikes toward the Cadillac lot. In the dim alley, Daniel squeezed Sophia's shoulder. If any of us fail, tell the others to keep uploading, she finished. Truth is a relay race. Stay alive, he added. She winked. Plan B. Ghost Rider gets famous posthumously. They parted into night, city lights flickering like matches in wind. Daniel's crew skirted the river levee, moonlight dancing on mud cracks. Gunfire popped downtown, the decoy working. Ahead, the Tesla warehouse loomed. Steel ribs against stars. Roof panels ripped by storms. He keyed a silent signal. The side door clicked open. Inside, dusty superchargers lined walls like relics. Their Starlink terminal lay beneath a tarp. Antenna dish dented but intact. Power? A runner asked. Solar battery, Daniel said, pointing to a stack of salvaged power walls. Pray they hold a charge. They wired the dish, booted the terminal. Blue LEDs blinked to life. On Daniel's rugged tablet, a message from Sophia flashed. PayPal feed live in 3, Cody 4. He typed back, Tesla ready now. Stand by. The terminal pinged orbit. Bitrates spiked. An unfiltered vein to the outside world. One the consortium hadn't yet strangled. Daniel inhaled. Beyond the cracked windows, dawn threatened again. But this dawn might carry hope rather than ash. He pressed transmit. Footage flowed, the twin flag emblem shining like a brand of treason across devices worldwide. Outside, engines roared, patrol trucks converging. Runners grabbed rifles. Hold them off, Daniel said, voice steady. History is uploading. Bullets shattered glass. Sparks rained over the feed equipment, yet the progress bar marched, unstoppable. 95%. Think of your students, he told himself. Think of what they deserve to learn. Upload complete. A grin split his grime-streaked face as the world watched lies unravel. But victory tasted fleeting. A flashbang burst through the doorway, white light swallowing thought. Daniel staggered, ears ringing. Shadows stormed in, rifles raised. He raised empty palms, eyes fierce. I'm just a teacher, he shouted. Come, fail this lesson. The butt of a gun answered. Darkness dragged him under, but somewhere distant, he swore he heard Sophia's voice crackle over shortwave. Signals out. Whole planet seeing it. Hold on, Prof, sir. Searing pain lashed Daniel awake before his eyelids dared crack open. Steel shackles bit his wrists, cinched to a pipe above his head. A single construction lamp glared from the far corner of a shipping container that swayed as if the whole world bobbed on waves. Diesel fumes mingled with the pungent sweetness of rotting oranges. Every sway rumbled with the whine of armored trucks, hinting they hadn't left El Paso's orbit yet but were cruising towards some clandestine depot on the outskirts, perhaps one of the old Tesla battery yards rumored to be repurposed as holding pens. A shadow detached from the glow, Captain Renard, the French-Canadian officer Daniel had glimpsed near the twin flag crates. Renard toyed with a leather baton, smiling as though about to teach polite table manners instead of interrogation. You uploaded quite the fireworks show, Monsieur Grant, he said, English dipped in Montreal syrup. The consortium board is, how do you Americans say, steaming? Daniel's tongue felt like sandpaper. You mean the world saw proof it's being robbed blind? Call that education. Renard chuckled. History teachers always convinced a lecture can topple empires. Alas, real power does not panic over one broadcast. They adapt. The upload buys your rebel friends hours, maybe days, before counter-narratives drown it. He leaned close. Tell me Sofia Delgado's location, the keys to your signal relays, and perhaps you retire peacefully in some quiet internment town up north. Nice climate. Moose steaks. Daniel spit blood at the captain's boot. Grade, F for fantasy. Renard sighed, wiped the boot with a monogrammed handkerchief, and motioned. 2 guards yanked Daniel down, clasping him in a folding chair. An ancient laptop flickered onto the container wall, beaming a live news feed. The anchorwoman's makeup struggled against sweat, her studio generator clearly failing. White House sources deny claims of a twin-flag cartel, stating fabricated footage was spread by domestic terrorists funded by foreign competitors like Tesla expatriate Elon Musk, who remains in self-exile. A crawl-scrolled bottom screen, panic buying spikes after PayPal outage. Cadillac factory seized by emergency decree. Renard paused the video. See? Narratives pivot. You become Musk's radical stooge. The public, primed to hate billionaires, turns on you. People know hunger when they feel it, Daniel rasped. Spin won't fill empty stomachs. Renard's baton rapped Daniel's collarbone once, an explicit promise of worse. We'll revisit. Think carefully about martyrdom's true cost. The guards dragged him to a corner cell, locked the grate, and hurried off as the convoy jolted forward. Daniel sagged against cold steel. Time bled, maybe hours, maybe minutes, before a sharp hiss cut the gloom. A maintenance hatch under his cot clicked open and a familiar voice whispered, "Field trip, Professor." Sophia's pixie-cut silhouette appeared, smudged with grease, eyes electric. Daniel's breath caught. How? Old storm tunnel blueprints led right beneath this depot. Your notes, remember? I traded them for maps. Now move, the guards are busy watching emergency declarations. Trump just nationalized every remaining energy grid. He blames Musk again and calls PayPal traitor tech. Daniel grimaced. He'll run out of scapegoats before he runs out of microphones. Sophia sliced the cuffs with bolt cutters, wincing each snap. They crawled into the hatch, then down a scaffold into belly-black drainage tunnels smelling of rust and diesel. Somewhere far above, an alarm began its angry wail. 2 miles away, the gutted PayPal call center thrummed like a command hive. Sophia's crew, hacktivists, smugglers, 3 ex-cadets from Fort Bliss clustered around battery-powered workstations. When Daniel staggered in, cheers rippled. He raised a shaky hand, embarrassed by hero worship he didn't feel he'd earned. Status, he asked once a medic wrapped his shoulder. Jules, the asthmatic code slinger from UTEP, pushed Coke bottle glasses up his nose. Our upload's gone viral across border radio, but official net is clogged with disinfo. Trump's new decree gives the Twin Flag Consortium legal control over strategic reserves. They'll divert fuel convoys at sunrise, then roll armored units to crush refugee pockets. Sophia unfurled a city map peppered with pins. We need a headline bigger than any denial, expose who owns Twin Flag. My source inside the Federal Reserve leaked encrypted files, largest energy bond fraud in U.S. history. They list board members, deepfake shell companies, bribes to lawmakers, but the data's locked behind old quantum-proof encryption. Daniel's historian mind clicked gears. Musk pioneered quantum-resistant code years ago and open-sourced some patches. Maybe there's a backdoor. Jules tapped keys furiously. Found something. Early Tesla key exchange protocol still embedded. If we feed it a Tesla vehicle ID as seed, Sophia's eyes narrowed. Those IDs are etched on every supercharger housing. But with power outages, scanners are down. Daniel recalled the Tesla showroom next to the International Bridge, now a looter skeleton. Thin plates still sit inside stripped chassis. We grab one before dawn. A young runner, Amber, volunteered. I know the route on rollerblades. Quicker than sneaking a truck. Daniel shook his head. Too dangerous. Amber smirked. So is thirst, Professor, let me skate. For others joined, they slotted into a micro team. Sophia handed Daniel a headset. You stay here. Your brains are safer off the streets. He lifted a brow. Teacher's revenge, assign homework while class takes the field? She punched his shoulder lightly. You're on comms with Jules, decrypting as soon as we feed the seed. The moment we crack it, we stream everything: board lists, conspirator emails, fuel theft manifests. Hit them before they mobilize. Thunder boomed, actual thunder. Monsoon clouds finally gathered over the valley, months late. Rain would mask footsteps but also fry electronics. They had one shot. Amber's team glided through alleys where neon signs flickered pale later and eat now in mocking promise. Storm gusts flipped trash into cyclones. From the command center, Daniel tracked their body cams, deserted freeways, graffiti cursing Cadillac price hikes, military drones slicing sky like steel swans. They reached the dealership, skeletal Model S frames lay like fossils. Amber pried a VIN plaque, radioed success, then a spotlight blazed. Patrol jeep snarled onto the lot. Kempfeed shook his rotors, kicked debris. Split. Sophia shouted in earpiece. Meet a Canal Street tunnel. Amber sprinted toward flood channels, blades clacking. Gunfire crackled, sparks off asphalt. Daniel's pulse hammered while he and Jules built the seed string, 5YJ say 1E26HF0000314, numbers of a once luxury sedan, now a rusted coffin. Paste it. Daniel barked. Jules hit enter. Code word. A progress spiral crawled like molasses. Decrypting 3%, 7. On screen, Amber vaulted a chain link, narrowly missing a stun round. Lightning forked overhead, dazzling the lens. She ducked into the canal's big pipe just as rain sheeted down, mud roaring after her. Chem went black. Amber, do you copy? Sophia demanded. Only static. Daniel swallowed. Another risk he'd consigned a kid to. He forced focus on progress bar 40%. Renard's voice burst over open frequency, taunting. You truly believe Musk scraps can topple us? I have your young courier. One more stunt and she bleeds on livestream. Sophia slammed fist to table. He bluffing. A fresh video popped, Amber, wrists zip-tied, flanked by soldiers under a leaking overpass. Renard addressed camera. Surrender decryption key or she suffers. You have 10 minutes. Jules whispered, 68%. We'll beat the clock. Daniel stepped toward Mike. Captain, this is grand. Let the girl go, I'll come back, no tricks. Sophia grabbed his sleeve. He'll kill you both. Daniel's mind raced to history's hostage gambits, failures, and miraculous trades. We need leverage he can't ignore. Something personal. Jules scanned Renard's file scraped from darknet logs, family in Montreal, offshore accounts. Daniel pointed. Transfer his funds to refugee clinics via PayPal. Let him watch his empire feed the hungry. Jules grinned. Petty, poetic. Doing it. Seconds later, Renard's phone pinged, confusion crossed his face. Sophia broadcast their screen, each transaction receipt scrolling, embassy stamps, charities, disaster tents. Daniel keyed Mike, money's just zeros, Captain. But zeros feed mouths tonight. Your 3 million is gone. Trade for the girl or lose everything. Renard's fury twisted ugly. Yet thunder boomed again, and even he understood optics. A captain executing a teen on stolen charity funds would shred the consortium's crafted narrative. He shoved Amber forward, cut her ties with disgust. Cameras rolled as she sprinted free. Next time, Renard hissed into radio, I send drones, not ultimatums. Feed cut. Relief washed through the command center. Decrypt bar pinged 100. Files burst open, names, wire trails, memos proving twin flag-directed tariff escalation to manufacture energy scarcity, even pre-drafting Trump's decrees. Among signatories, ex-Treasury officials, petroleum CEOs, and a surprise, Jonathan Cadwell of General Motors Luxury Division, architect of the latest Cadillac EV lineup. Daniel exhaled. Cadillac profits on collapse, Musk scapegoated to distract. Sophia's grin flashed predatory. Upload everything. Let the world see who's starving them. Within minutes, torrents of data mirrored across Starlink, Pirate FM, even hacked billboard screens. Rain hammered rooftops like applause. Back in the Oval Office, cameras caught Trump pacing before microphones, gold drapes billowing. He barked at aides, voice cracking. The Oval feed glitched, someone hacked White House systems, overlaying Renard's failed ransom, Cadillac invoices, and internal memos across every official channel. Trump's face twisted crimson. He slammed desk. Call it fake. Blame Musk. An aide whispered panic. International markets froze, Canada suspended troop deployments, Mexico demanded joint investigation, PayPal reinstated peer-to-peer to finance relief corridors. The stranglehold frayed. At sunrise, Daniel stood on the PayPal roof, rain rolling off poncho. Sophia joined, eyes rimmed red from sleepless joy. You still think words can't topple empires? She teased. He watched lightning retreat beyond deserted Teslas, humbled. Words lit the fuse. People must carry the flame. An old pickup rattled into view, bed packed with grain sacks bearing the Tesla logo, emergency rations Musk had stockpiled and smuggled south months ago. Refugees below cheered as volunteers began distribution. Helicopters distant, no longer menacing but ferrying Red Cross. For the first time since January 25, the border felt less like a guillotine. Daniel closed eyes, breathing petrichor and frying cornmeal from makeshift stoves. History wasn't saved, but tonight it had been steered. Behind him, Jules burst onto roof, waving tablet. International Tribunal just subpoenaed twin flag board. Canada pulled Renard's unit, he's facing charges. Sophia hooped, pulled Daniel into a wet hug. End of beginning, Professor. He laughed, pain forgotten. Then class is in session. The dawn after the tribunal's revelations felt fragile, like a soap bubble quivering on the desert wind. El Paso's streets were quieter, fewer patrols rattling by, but the calm was deceptive. Trump's emergency powers had swelled overnight, curfews extended, unlicensed broadcasts banned, and any domestic extremist could be summarily detained. PayPal had begun rerouting relief donations through military-supervised accounts, funds now inching toward consortium coffers rather than refugee kitchens. Cadillac convoys of armored vans prowled the highways, their luxurious insignia repurposed as symbols of oppression rather than status. In the safe house basement, Daniel watched grainy footage of soldiers hauling away volunteer trucks. Sophia's team worked in staccato bursts, mapping supply routes on a plastered wall, red yarn crisscrossing like the veins of a long-dead leaf. The thunderstorm had passed, but the air still tasted of ozone and fear. They're consolidating control of every remaining generator, Sophia murmured, tracing a route past the old Tesla gigafactory on the city's east side. Soon, no lights, no internet, only consortium broadcasts. Daniel tugged at his collar. We need to hit them where it hurts. He remembered Elon Musk's cryptic message scrawled in emergency logs: if you need access codes to the gigafactory's microgrid, look under the vault labeled Model Y prototypes. He hadn't known Musk would risk his last insiders, but the billionaire's silent support felt like oxygen. Sophia, can you decode his logs? She tapped keys. Already on it. But the gigafactory is under military guard, Cadillac-branded Humvees bristling with autoloaders. We need a distraction. A rasping cough announced the arrival of their volunteer medic, Marisol, brandishing a crate of counterfeit Cadillac livery plates. I have friends in the underground custom shop, she said. We can slap these on 3 of our old PayPal delivery trucks, make them look like part of the official relief fleet. Sophia's eyes lit. Then we roll in as sanctioned convoys. The guards will wave you through at least until they dig deeper. The plan birthed itself in hushed excitement. Under cover of darkness, 3 trucks, once patched together from scavenged PayPal vans, rolled out with newly painted Cadillac crests. Volunteers in military-issue uniforms and forged IDs coached each other on the right gestures and cadences of official convoys. Daniel slipped into the passenger seat of the lead truck, the engines hum a lullaby of nerves. As they approached the gigafactory gate at twilight, spotlights carved the sky into black and white stripes. 2 guards stepped out, rifles slung across their chests. One barked into a field radio, ID checks. From inside the lead truck, Marisol opened a sliding window. Cellular relief convoy, Cadillac division, paperwork's in the glove box. The guard snapped the driver's door open, flipped through the forged manifest stamped with Trump's seal. Proceed. He raised his hand, the red glow of his helmet light glinting. Within seconds, the second and third trucks passed, their taillights winking like obedient fireflies. Inside the facility, rows of Tesla power packs lay dormant, gigantic batteries meant to stabilize national grids. The network's central server, buried beneath former production lines, housed the consortium's microgrid controls. If Sophia could upload a virus to sever consortium command, the grid would default to public control, freeing cities from cartel chokeholds. They moved in practiced silence through deserted assembly halls, the scent of ozone still clinging to the machinery. Daniel's pulse pounded louder than the hum of the overhead fluorescent lights. Server rooms 50 meters ahead, he whispered. After that last corner. Sophia led them, her headlamp cutting through darkness. At the server door, she knelt and deployed a hacked PayPal card reader, its magnetic data strip reprogrammed to serve as a Trojan. As she worked, footsteps echoed from the corridor beyond. Gunmetal boots clattered closer. A single guard, the shift's only observer, appeared half asleep, his rifle loose in his hands. He paused at the server door, squinting at the flickering light inside. Marisol raised her voice, feigning panic. Control panel sparking, maybe a short. She pounded on the door. The guard cursed and stepped inside, rifle raised. That was the cue. Sophia slammed the door shut and through a flashbang, white light and deafening blast vacated the space of sound. Daniel and the others tackled the guard as muffled screams seized the hallway. Within seconds, they'd bound and gagged him with Tesla insulation tape. Sophia tapped keys on a laptop wired to the server's console. The Trojan sprang to life, lines of code cascading like a digital waterfall. Uploading the virus now, she announced. A progress bar crept upward, then stalled at 92%. Alarms shrieked as red lights burst to life overhead. The consortium's security net detected the intrusion. We're locked in, Sophia cursed. Local override needed. Daniel scanned the locked doors panel. PayPal had once designed these doors to seal in data breaches, ironies layered thick enough to taste. He pried open the panel, revealing the manual override lever. On 3, he said. 1, 2, he yanked the lever and the door clattered open, releasing a gust of stale, recycled air and a squad of guards rushing the corridor. "Go!" Daniel shouted. They sprinted through the server room, virus still uploading, the hum of data destined to shatter Consortium command. Sophia tossed a smoke grenade behind them, the corridor filled with choking gray mist. They burst into the loading bay where the Cadillac-branded trucks idled. Guards fired into the smoke, bullet holes bloomed on steel sides like red flowers. Engines roared as drivers' gun throttles. Daniel leapt into the lead truck's bed, hauling Marisol in after him. Sparks rained as bullets shredded overhead lights, plunging them into a strobing nightmare. Outside, the facility's perimeter launched automated turrets, towering Cadillac emblems now firing tracer rounds into the night sky. The trucks barreled over broken pavement, then ground to a halt beneath a row of shipping containers. Daniel dove for cover, bullets thumped metal above him. Microgrid virus is live. Sophia's voice crackled over their encrypted radio. Control systems diverting to public grid. Energy access unlocked. Daniel felt the impact before the sound reached him, a blast wave as the Consortium's network overload soared, detonating transformers in a thunderous cascade. The night sky lit up with arcs of electricity, blue veins snaking across power lines. In that electric brilliance, El Paso's skyline seemed to shiver, then brighten. Streetlights flickered on throughout the city, illuminating hope. Caught in the glow, Daniel's heart swelled. But no moment of triumph lasts unchallenged. Heavy footsteps approached through the containers. The second and third trucks roared back to life, but only Sergio, the driver of the middle truck, remained. His uniform shredded, face smeared with soot. "They got Marisol," he gasped. "Taken through the east gate, they're using her as bait." "No," Daniel said, voice taut. "She risked everything." He scanned the dark horizon, the renewed streetlights glimmering over barricades. "We're not done." Sophia's whisper was steel. "Grab the prototype vault codes from the server exports, Musk's logs. There's a hidden cache beneath the old PayPal data center downtown. Enough firepower there to rescue her and flatten every turret between us and the east gate." Daniel nodded. "Then let's light the fuse." As the trucks ducked into shadow, the city's lights bloomed defiantly behind them, Teslas humming free under a sky unshackled from Consortium control, PayPal nodes rerouted to service hospitals again. Cadillacs no longer symbols of tyranny but relics of a fading order. And somewhere on the horizon, Donald Trump's voice crackled over intercepted broadcasts, promising swift justice to traitors. But this time, the voice sounded tinny, drowned beneath the city's new heartbeat, the rumble of solidarity. They vanished into the night, ready to ignite the next spark. The first light of dawn crept over the jagged outline of El Paso's horizon, painting shattered windshields and patched adobe walls gold. Last night's thunder had finally cleared, but the air still crackled with tension, like a live wire humming under a child's fingertips. The Twin Flag Consortium's microgrid virus had been neutralized and civilian streetlights flared back to life, but Trump's emergency decree now loomed larger than ever, authorizing martial law to protect American interests. Cadillac-branded Humvees rumbled in patrols more frequent than hunger pangs. Across the border checkpoints, Canadian and Mexican battalions stood on uneasy truce, their flags snapping in the breeze like the final act of a broken puppet show. Daniel Grant laced his boots in the hollow of what used to be a pickup truck repair shop, now converted into a makeshift command center by PayPal volunteers. Sofia Delgado was already at the long table under flickering LEDs, mapping the Consortium's remaining strongholds in red Sharpie. The portal of old storm tunnel entrances, once their escape hatch, was now sealed by international troops, cheap barbed wire and sandbags bearing the stars and maple leaf emblems. "Marisol's at Outpost 42, Sofia said without looking up. Her voice was as calm as a sniper's breath. "They're using her as leverage for our surrender. Located at the Paso del Norte Bridge Terminal, 2 kilometers west. It's the final choke point for any northbound convoy." Daniel rubbed his jaw. "That bridge, once a symbol of unity, is rigged with explosives. They'll detonate it if we attempt a direct assault." He traced lines on the map leading through hidden culverts under the Rio Grande. "Our only route is under the riverbed through the abandoned PayPal data vault." "I memorized the blueprints." Sofia nodded. "But we can't just rescue her. We need to break the Consortium's backbone in one stroke. Their supply lines run through that terminal, fuel, ammo, even the last undestroyed Cadillac EV armored transports. If we cut them off, their forces collapse." Daniel glanced at the elderly locksmith they called Abuelito, picking locks on a crate of Cadillac livery plates. "Abel, how many plates we got?" "Enough to paint 3 platoons," Abel answered with a grin. And enough forged IDs, Commodore, Musk's seal and all. Sophia smiled thinly. Then we lure them out. Make them believe a full-scale Tesla rescue convoy is coming from the east. Let them redeploy their Humvees, leave the bridge lightly guarded. We slip in through the culvert, hack the terminal controls, free Marisol and other detainees, and detonate the explosives on their armament caches. Daniel inhaled. And the world watches live as their empire burns. He tapped his PayPal Retro laptop, sending encrypted invites to every pirate radio station still on air. Broadcast secure link, Phase 2 will be streamed at 1100 hours local. Let every global city see the consortium's downfall. Abel rolled his chair over. Speaking of Musk, logistics are in place. He sent instructions to reroute 3 solar-powered Tesla superchargers into mobile generators. Enough juice to keep our devices alive while the blackout spreads through consortium lines. Sophia's eyes lit. Good. And PayPal's new escrow platform will collect all donations instantly, fuel for the convoy, food for civilians, legal fees for survivors. We'll starve the consortium of resources while feeding the resistance. Daniel swallowed. Then let's move before the final curfew. Every second we wait, Trump tightens his noose. They assembled at the North River embankment. 30 volunteers in Cadillac forgeries, flak jackets patched with PayPal and Tesla decals, assault packs stuffed with tools and rations. At the front, Marisol's team of medics carried a banner that read, "Border of 2 flags, no more chains." Behind them, Abel's forge van idled, silent as a tomb. Daniel and Sophia exchanged a look, equal parts fear and resolve. Daniel led them into the narrow culvert, the air pungent with stagnant water and rust. Every footstep echoed in the concrete womb. Behind him, Sophia kept watch on her wrist-comm radio. Abel marched at the rear, plates clinking like fragile armor. The hum of distant patrols vibrated through the walls. Finally, the tunnel opened beneath Outpost 42, an armed checkpoint perched atop the Paso del Norte bridge, its arches spanned by barbed wire and machine gun nests. Through a grated floor panel, they could see soldiers lounging in the sun, oblivious to the silent infiltration. A convoy of Cadillac EV transports waited to roll north, thunderous in their luxury, lethal in their armaments. Sophia raised a gloved hand, signaling. Daniel nodded and pressed down on a small plaque embedded in the tunnel wall, Musk's hidden override switch. Instantly, the terminal above sparked. Cameras looped benign footage, turret rails slid inward, and the explosive charges arming circuits clicked open. At Sophia's cue, Abel climbed through the grate and emerged behind the convoy, carrying his stash of forged IDs. He stamped a set on the garrison's frontline command center, the seal of Trump's emergency presidency glowing in the afternoon sun. He then slashed wire leads on 2 ammo crates and released a clutch of EMP grenades that lay like metallic eggs at his feet. Daniel followed, crawling onto the gravel shoulder of the bridge with a short megaphone. Soldiers turned, rifles raised. He cleared his throat. This is an official Tesla relief operation. You were ordered to stand down. You will be relieved by Canadian forces at 1100 hours. The troops hesitated. Trump's seal on a Musk-branded Tesla truck was enough to cause doubt. Before they could fire, a convoy's horn blared. 3 Tesla battery trucks, headlights blazing, rolled from the east entrance. Soldiers snapped to attention, assuming a larger operation was underway. Sophia emerged beside Daniel, holding her camera rig like a talisman. She pointed at the garrison comms unit, fingers dancing on a hacked PayPal terminal. The screen lit, automated reconciliation of all humanitarian accounts. All hostile forces now designated traffickers. Legal warrant via executive decree. Disarm or face trial. The soldiers' faces paled, court ordered by the White House itself. Simultaneously, Abel triggered the EMP grenades under the ammo crates. A pulse of black lightning flickered across the ground, disabling weapons and communications. Soldiers screamed as radios died. In the confusion, Sophia dashed to the detention cages where Marisol and dozens of refugees huddled in despair. She cut the locks with bolt cutters as Daniel barked instructions at disoriented guards. Don't shoot. You're under Musk's Tesla government mandate. Daniel yelled. This terminal is now federal Joint Task Force jurisdiction. The remaining soldiers threw down rifles. Marisol stepped out, pale but defiant, her arms around a dozen freed captives. She raised a trembling fist. We are all teachers of humanity. A cheer swelled like storm surge across the bridge. Behind them, the EMP wave cascaded through consortium relays, Cadillac Humvees stalled, barbed wire gates lowered, cash registers in the outpost's shop froze mid-transaction. The explosive charges on the bridge's arches clicked inactive. The final chokehold slipped from Trump's grip. Daniel grabbed Sophia's hand and pointed to the shimmering skyline beyond. PayPal vans distributed water and food to desolate colonias. Solar-charged Tesla drones delivered medicine to sick children. Canadian and Mexican forces, their Humvees now powerless, exchanged puzzled nods with American volunteers. An impromptu truce, born of necessity, began to thaw the border's bitterness. As the rescued marched across the bridge beneath 3 flags, Sophia's live feed transmitted every step to the world. On screens in Tokyo, Paris, Lagos, and Mumbai, viewers watched symbols of fear transform into gestures of solidarity. Even Trump's most loyal broadcasters fell silent, scrambling for denials. But the images, unfiltered, visceral, could not be unseen. In the days that followed, international pressure forced Trump's emergency powers to be reviewed. Congressional leaders in safe bunkers declared provisional authority. Elon Musk publicly released all his offshore protocols and quantum-proof encryption keys, restoring net neutrality across America. PayPal's escrow program financed a reconstruction fund, and Cadillac rebranded their EVs for humanitarian aid. The Twin Flag Consortium's directors were arrested, renamed as the Cadwell Cartel in scathing indictments, and their assets redirected to refugee relief. Daniel returned to an abandoned high school gym, chalk in hand once more, teaching kids the art of critical thinking and digital self-defense. Sophia reopened her newsroom in the shell of a burned-out cafe, her masthead proclaiming truth at the border. Together, they launched a podcast series titled Crossing Lines, the border of 2 flags, telling stories of courage that span continents. On the anniversary of the rescue, crowds gathered on the Paso del Norte bridge. 3 flags fluttered side by side, American, Mexican, Canadian, in a breeze that carried the scent of citrus groves and fresh-baked tortillas. Daniel raised a toast of filtered water. Sophia clicked a photo for her archive. Children danced amid repaired PayPal kiosks distributing snacks. Veterans of the resistance shared stories with new volunteers. Daniel smiled at Sophia. "We rewrote history," he said softly. She nodded, camera now resting at her side. "And the next lesson starts today." Beneath the flags, the border was no longer a line of division but a bridge of shared struggle and hope. The world watched and learned that even in the darkest hours, a teacher's words, a journalist's courage, and a billionaire's conscience could converge to topple an empire of tariffs and tyranny.